Hey, what's going on, guys? Zedd here, bringing you another Soul Calibur 6 video this week. Double feature this week because of the past 2 weeks that I missed videos. And today we're going to talk more about Xianghua Season 2 changes. Specifically, I'm going to go over the PXS new moves of AA and BB. So I've heard some people say in Discords and other chat rooms and all that that they think that the PXS is broken, they think it's too strong, they don't know how to deal with it, yada yada. So I'm going to go over it today, and I'll break it down for you. So this video will be useful for both Xianghua players and also defenders as well. As a quick recap, the biggest weakness of PXS is, or the biggest strength and weakness of PXS in Season 1 was that it would super tech crouch a lot of mids, and then highs obviously, and it would open up the way for the K lethal hit. Right? This was a very common play, especially at range. If you were against, say, like Nightmare, AGA, or ABA, whatever, and then Siegfried AGA, boom, free lethal hit. Okay, so that was one use of it. The only things that transition into PXS are 6B2, 3A2, and A plus B2, or going from SXS into PXS. For the purposes of this video, I may refer to SXS as stance and PXS as low stance, okay? Just so we can make the distinction. So stance, low stance, just because it might be easier for me in my speech pattern. So if I start doing that as opposed to the abbreviations, just so you know what they are. So the weaknesses of PXS are still present. You can still 2A her majority of the time. Sure, she can sometimes get the auto GI here, but depending on what frame you hit it, she may not actually be able to get the lethal hit, and you may be able to even block it. So it is not a free 2A answer for Xianghua, and that is a really hard read because it wouldn't work against 2K. So that's the kicker with that one. Okay, so that's just a quick review of PXS. Now let's get into it. So I'm going to go over the properties of PXS A and B and the extensions. I'll tell you the frame data and I'll tell you the different properties, like I said. I'm going to go over PXS BB first because it's a bit quicker and less to talk about than PXS A. I'll go over the applications, ways that she can transition into it, and counterplay. Just note that when I'm referring to 2As in this video, I am referring to a generic I-12 2A. However, in the case of I-14 2A via Nightmare, he can still do everything we're going to talk about in this video. Okay, but if you're a character like, say, Astroth or Siegfried with a slower 2A, or if there's other characters off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I don't know, they may have a seriously hard time dealing with this, and those will give us some brownie points in those matchups, but only time will tell. Okay, so first up, PXS A and A and AA. So the A is the low. The low itself is hit confirmable into the follow-up. It is -2 on hit, -14 on block, and it leaves her in full crouch. Okay, and then she has the A hold, which puts her into regular stance as well, and that is a -2 on hit transition. Okay, and then she has the PXS AA, which is a mid, and it is a natural combo. Again, hit confirmable. It is +2 on hit, also leaves her in full crouch, and is also -14 on block, just like the PXSA. Okay, so that's it for that one. PXSB this is the B. It is -2 on hit and -14 on block, and leaves full crouch. It's the exact same properties as PXSA. BB is a hit confirmable string that does a mini launch on hit. It combos into 6/6K. It can also ring out given the proper circumstances. You'll see that you can't actually get CE or anything because, yeah, they're too low to the ground. So just keep that in mind. And it is -16 on block. So this one is 2 frames more punishable than AA. Okay? But both are still very, very good for frame data. A lot of characters, 3Bs will work against the BB, but some characters won't. And depending at the range too, some 3Bs don't even work. At that point, I'm assuming it's probably like -15. I don't know for certain, but I have noticed that when I was doing some of the prep for this video. Okay, so those are the moves. Now, the only time she can transition into PXS properly and well is if 6B counter hits or 3A counter hits. Other than that, these are both minus transitions, and the time it takes to transition into PXS also is quite slow. Okay, this one is more of a read transition. Okay, so the A plus B2 is a read transition, or an approach transition, and so you're not really going to be using that in many ways that we're going to talk about in this video. All right, so what's the meat and potatoes here? Well, the first thing is that this mix or sequence is her new combo ender. Okay, so if we do a lethal hit, a lot of the lethal hits now go into 9KK2 BB. So let's go over that one real quick. Right, boom, 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 boom. Now this isn't a desirable Oki situation, at least if we're talking, you know, not near the wall. Didn't do it right. Didn't do it right. One more try. There we go. Okay, so if that wall wasn't there, she would actually be going quite far away. Now, that's not technically desirable, but this is quite a bit of damage. So that's lethal hits. But off of, say, a standard full crouch 3B, which, as you guys will know, you'll see very often from Xianghua, the new combo is 6B2. Now, this is an ender that I personally would actually do quite frequently, even pre-season 2. But here's the crazy part. Like, this is the other common ender as well. The crazy part about 6B2 is that both options are a forest block for their respective properties, so low or mid. You cannot soul charge, you cannot GI, you can't tech. So it's quite interesting, right? So I'll show you. If you do the A real quick, forest block, and they have to guess, because if they don't block that low, that's a free 30 damage into a +2 situation. Okay? And the other thing with this is if they don't block the B, they're eating pretty much the exact same combo worth of damage all over again, right? And it can start to get really out of control. So it's often that players will want to block the mid for obvious reasons, because you don't want to, you know, take all that damage. Right? Look at that. So that opens up the low for us. Like that. Okay? Which is 30 tacked on top of the 53. So 83 damage combo, essentially, at worst, right? So Xianghua's Oki game was already super strong. Now it's even stronger. So she's hitting like a truck now, okay? These are the main ways that you're going to see it used on Oki. On Oki, frankly, there's very little you can do. You have to just take it. You can stay on the ground. That's totally viable. And if you do that, then what's going to happen is the A is going to hit, but the follow-up will not. So I'll get the bot to do the combo since they don't like to stay on the ground. And I'll show you some of the OTG options. Okay. Now, there's one problem with this. Okay. There's one problem. -14 is not that much. And so you may not even have time to get up and punish, right? The other thing is it's hit confirmable, okay? That's the kicker. That's the problem, okay? Now, I know this is hit confirmable because you can even see on my inputs, right? Right? A. Like you have the entire animation, A. The entire roll animation. You have a million years to hit confirm this. And same thing with the B. Look at that delay. Look at that. So it's also delayable, which also makes it quite strong. Okay, so you don't actually want to stay on the ground because that's just going to be a bigger problem for you. Okay, so her Oki is maddeningly strong again, and it already was. Because let's not even talk about the fact that she still has, you know, throw, 4-4A hold, 1A cancel, 3B, full crouch 3B, full crouch 3A. Like she still has all these stupid 6-6K. She still has all these Oki options. They're not gone. It's just they gave us even more to deal with. So I'm going to move on now because I'm getting into you know, other facets of Xianghua. But just know that on Oki, it is a bit of a mix. Or you can just take the low hit and you know, just the one hit. But if you do that, now she's put into full crouch, which leads me to my next point that we're going to talk about. So out of context and out of situations, the the PXS-A is actually quite good because it puts you back in full crouch. Now, as you guys know, full crouch for Xianghua is her strongest state. I spend 80% of the game, that's probably not even an exaggeration, 80% of my buttons, aside from walking, obviously, and moving, are spent doing instant full crouch. Instant full crouch 3A, instant full crouch 3B, instant while rising B, instant full crouch 3K, and now we have even more reason to use crouch moves, right? Things like that. So it puts her in full crouch, which is very, very strong. Her while raising K is 12 frames. However, if it's just PXA PXSA, pardon me, that you get hit by, she is at -2. So this move, that wall rising K is now 14 frames, okay? Which means that you do have a window of opportunity to soul charge, and depending on the character, you might even be able to challenge it, right? Depending how things go, obviously. So, let's go into some stuff that you might see from Xianghua's, and I'll show you why it's fake or why it's bad. All right. Now that's -2 on hit. We already talked about that. So say she does the combo and starts going into this. Okay, so this is the move I'm going to talk about here. The PXSA hold. So this move is not as good as people make it out to be. The reason why is it's -2. The fastest move from SXS is 14 frames, and that is the kick. So at -2, the fastest option I have is 16 frames. Again, we're excluding crouch throw here for a second. So you have options, okay? You have options. So let's get the Xianghua to do this into the kick, all right? So you ate the low and she transitioned at -2. So what do you do here? Well, if you 2A, it's going to be a bit slow. It's going to be a bit slow. Or, pardon me. Falsifying my words here. If you 2A, she's going to be a bit slow. So the K isn't what she wants to do there. If she goes for this, okay? If she goes for this in this situation, right? See how I can block that? Not so scary, right? And then last thing is if she goes for that, you trade. So my point is, because of the fact that crouch throw now becomes I-12, and the kick is now too slow to contest, and as you saw there, the auto GI didn't give her enough time to get the lethal hit, it's very, very wise to challenge PXSA hold with a 2A. That's the point I was making here. Now, if you're feeling really ballsy and you want to beat the kick, you want to beat the crouch throw, you want to beat the GI, you want to beat almost everything, use an I-14 BB. The problem with doing this... Oops. The problem with doing this... There we go. Is going to be the following. Okay, so you're going to beat that. You're going to beat the crouch throw, obviously. I feel like that's assumed. Okay. The problem with doing that, if you do I-14 BB, is she gets this. Oops, didn't come out. Right? She'll be able to sidestep it. Like that. So the absolute best option, if you identify PXSA hold, is 2A. And there is nothing the Xianghua can do about it, technically speaking. Her best play, if she didn't want to, risk not hitting the auto GI or whatever, would be to do... I don't know why. The game's reading my inputs funny. I'm sorry, guys. This. Right, so this is going to be the best thing she has to beat 2A. Like that. Okay? That's the best she's got. Right? And let's see that one more time. See that? So that's the best she's going to be able to do, which isn't that bad. Right? That's a lot of layers. Like, that's a lot of stuff that she just had to read and, think about. And you as a defender, same thing. Because if you have an I-14 BB and and an I-12 2A, that alone puts X in the blender, and yeah, it's not a good situation. It's not a fun time. And of course, you can try to reversal edge and GI and all that, but just be careful of that because of those, right? All right, let me delay that further. Right? So if you try reversal edging here after you get hit by the low, that's a good play, but just be careful that she has the lethal hit, right? Like that. Boom. So just be careful, okay? That's PXSA hold. Don't get memed by it, 2A it, or I-14B it. All right? Now, the next thing is the full crouch part. So the full crouchness of it makes it really grungy on hit. Because on hit, right, PXSAA on hit, she's +2 in a crouched state, which means that full crouch 3B, full crouch 3A, full crouch 3K are all faster. And while rising K is now an I-10 officially. You can step here, but that opens up while rising A. Okay. So let's play this scenario out a little bit. Okay. So PXS, boom, boom, boom. Right. So I can trade with my I-10 because I have one. Right. But if you don't have one, you're kind of hooped. And if I use an I-12, I would lose. Okay. So you do still have frames to GI here. GI, RE, soul charge, all that. You can do all of that. However, other than soul charge, here is your biggest fear. Your biggest fear is going to be her while rising A hold or full crouch 3A hold, which are both moves that I want to address very quickly. So please remember that she now has this. This is a 0 on hit transition. Okay? Very strong. And the reason why this is strong is because I'm already an advocate of doing this. Because while rising A, single A, is very good at frame speaking, and it leaves her in a full crouch state. So the mix is you follow through with it, right? Or you don't, and you stay in full crouch. Her full crouch game is super good. The fact that PXSA, AA, and PXSB all go into full crouch is just craziness, okay? But anyway, so don't forget she has this, and she has this, which is another thing I'm going to go over in a moment. So, PXSAA on hit, that's what we're talking about right now. That is an I-10 while rising K. All right. Now, the reason why you don't necessarily want to respect her here is because at +2, the best options she has that's going to reach you are verticals or 6A. Now, what I mean by that is from crouching, don't forget that you can do 4 or 6 directions and still get those moves, right? Like this is still 14 frames, even though I'm doing it from crouch because there's a 6 input there. So boom, 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 boom. Okay, so let's get the bot to do that exact thing. Boom, 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 boom. So if I go to step to K here. Oh, I cheated. Okay, I have to actually step here, Zedd. See that? So you'll get run countered by that, which is not a fun time. And then you're comboed by the new 6AA, which is quite a bit of damage. So stepping the K isn't necessarily an option, strictly because of the fact that there is no distance between you and the Xianghua, and that allows 6AA to be a thing. Okay? So I suggest you don't just try to step the K all the time. If you do, that's a hard read. That's a hard read. Okay? That is a hard read. The other thing to keep in mind is that she does have a low. So you might not be afraid because she's like, oh, well, you know, all the things you're talking about are mids or highs. You're right. However, full crouch 3A. So we're going to get into that now. Full crouch 3A hold. So. Okay. So the thing with this sequence is if you get hit by the PXSAA, full crouch 3A becomes a little more real. If you're afraid of full crouch 3A and you start ducking, full crouch 3B becomes real, right? This is the same problem. This is like, it's basically the same thing as the 2A counter hit, or the counter hit bug on full crouch 3A. It is literally the same threat, just actually real now. Okay? This is why PXS AA is so strong compared to the B series, is that it gives you all of this even on, you know, like 1 hit or 2 hit. So be aware that she has full crouch 3A hold. If she does full crouch 3A hold, so let's go over this, it puts her into S6S. This is a 0 on hit transition as well, and this move like always hits. So the fastest move, again, I-14. So if this happens and you identify she's going into stance, just 2A, okay? Again, it's getting into PXS that's the hardest part for Xianghua, which she can do at the end of combos. Now let's just play out this whole scenario a little bit. I'm going to show you a full sequence that is just one example. Like, I might be digressing or you know, coming back to multiple points, but it's because I want to hit it home that PXS isn't real except on Oki, okay? And the new transitions, as good as they are, like, I'm a huge fan of this transition. At the end of the day, I don't have an I-12. So if you 2A here, her only option is crouch throw or that, okay? Or again, you can clash with like a B, but then the same things apply. I can do this, right? So like that. So just keep that in mind, okay? So here's a full sequence. Boom, you've hit the full crouch 3B. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So what just happened here? Well, so we got hit by the launcher. Oh, I'm going to stand block the mid because that's wise. I went to step the kick. I won. But now she runs away out of danger. Okay. Or, oh, I got hit by a launcher. That's safe. You know, into Oki. Block the mid because that's wise. I get the kick doesn't hit me. I respect it for a minute because of the while rising KB follow-up. Don't forget that's a thing. And then I give her time to go back into while rising K hold. Right. Into mix again. So, like, there are spots to beat her, but you have to challenge. You can't just take it. Again, the reason why you can't just take it or guess is it's not a guess for Xianghua. Hit confirmable. Literally. It's not a guess. So, in a post-combo situation, you have to try to challenge. And the wisest thing I can tell you is to use a 2A. Now, if you go to 2A Xianghua, after she lands the PXS AA at +2, right? The only option that's going to beat you, again, is crouch throw and while rising K. All right, so let's I'll show you that. Like that. Get grabbed, right? Now, the reason why taking the crouch throw isn't so scary is because you can break it at the end of the day. And always default to back break if you're unsure. Right, and then if you go to 2A here, not a good scenario. And the reason why is if she commits to this, which is good because it'll catch any kind of retaliation buttons after the K is blocked. Actual combo. And guess what? It leads into right? So you'll see that, you know, it's not wise because in theory, she can just keep looping you. And the thing with PXSA is it covers all tech options. So it's not that free, or it's not that easy for you to get out. So the PXS stuff, to wrap this up, the PXS stuff is only good in an Oki situation. The low is what leads to all the bullshit and the jank and the setups and the frame traps. It's the B though that hits like a truck. And that is where the mix is. The risk reward is arguably the same, but the strengths are different. So BB is just raw Unga Bunga numbers, right? Like just the numerical value of this is crazy. Whereas the low is 30 damage, but it is way more than 30 damage. This is a +2 from full crouch situation for Xianghua. So moves like full crouch 3A all of a sudden disgusting. And then you can do things like, you know, that, or if you're near the wall, boom, boom, right? And so on, so on, so on. If that kick counter hit, then, you know, she'd be done. So this is my point, is be careful, but it's not like 100% real, but it is very strong. Okay? Anyway, so that's just the explanation and the work of PXS-A and PXS-B. Be mindful of her transitions as they're always either +2 or less. You can 2A almost always because even at +2, the stance K becomes fake. PXS-AA into the kick, being +2 makes the kick an I-10. It is steppable, but you're opening yourself up to things like full crouch 3A and while rising A hold. Okay, so just be mindful of that. If you go to step, she's going to do this and reset the situation. Okay, so that'll do it for the video. I kind of jumped around all over the place, but I hope I showed you some of the risks and ways to play around it. If you don't have an I-12 2A, I'm sorry. You're going to get mixed, so you got to keep her out. And the only characters who don't have an I-12 2A, as far as I know, would be able to keep her out or out of this position. Better than the others anyway. Okay? Thanks for watching, guys. I do think Xianghua is a top 10 character. Don't at me, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.